In 1943, Nikola Tesla died alone in room 3327 of the New Yorker hotel, penniless and forgotten. The man who had illuminated the entire world died in darkness, with nothing but the pigeons he fed as companions. Yet today, the most valuable car company on earth bears his name. His face appears on currency. His patents underpin our modern civilization. This is the story of the genius the world forgot, and the tragic reason it took us 80 years to remember. Nikola Tesla arrived in America in 1884 with 4 cents in his pocket, a book of poetry, and calculations for a flying machine. Born in 1856 in Smiljan, Croatia, then part of the Austrian Empire, to a Serbian Orthodox priest, Tesla possessed what he called a peculiar affliction. He could visualize his inventions in complete detail, rotating them in his mind, testing them before ever building a prototype. This photographic memory and visualization ability would become both his greatest gift and, eventually, part of his downfall. Tesla began working for Thomas Edison in New York, redesigning Edison's inefficient direct current DC generators. Edison allegedly promised him $50,000 for the work, a fortune at the time. When Tesla succeeded, Edison laughed it off as a joke, saying, "Tesla, you don't understand our American humor." Tesla quit immediately. The falling out between these two men would spark one of history's greatest technological battles and set the stage for Tesla's rise. Tesla believed the future belonged to alternating current AC, which could transmit electricity over vast distances. Edison, heavily invested in DC power, launched a vicious campaign against AC, publicly electrocuting animals, including an elephant named Topsy, to prove AC was dangerous. He even lobbied to make the electric chair use AC power, hoping to associate it with death. But Tesla's system was simply superior, and when industrialist George Westinghouse bought Tesla's AC patents for $60,000 plus royalties, the tide began to turn. The decisive victory came at the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago. Westinghouse and Tesla won the contract to light the fair, the first all-electric World's Fair in history. On opening night, President Grover Cleveland pushed a button, and 100,000 incandescent bulbs blazed to life, powered by Tesla's AC system. 27 million visitors witnessed the City of Light, and the future was decided. Tesla became a celebrity scientist, the man who had conquered electricity itself. Tesla's greatest triumph came in 1895 when his AC system was chosen to harness the power of Niagara Falls, the world's first major hydroelectric power plant. On November 16, 1896, electricity from Niagara Falls traveled 26 miles to power the city of Buffalo. It was a watershed moment in human history. One journalist wrote, "Tesla has harnessed the forces of nature herself." Within a few years, his AC system became the global standard. He had, quite literally, electrified the world. But Tesla wasn't satisfied. In his Manhattan laboratory, he conducted experiments that seemed like magic. He wirelessly lit fluorescent bulbs from across the room. He created artificial lightning bolts 135 feet long. He demonstrated remote-controlled boats, the first robotics, at Madison Square Garden in 1898, though spectators thought it was a trick. He filed hundreds of patents for technologies that wouldn't be fully understood for decades: radio, radar, X-rays, and more. Tesla's ultimate dream was wireless transmission of power, free electricity for everyone on Earth. In 1901, he convinced financier J.P. Morgan to invest $150,000 in Wardenclyffe Tower, a massive facility on Long Island designed to broadcast both information and electrical power wirelessly across the globe. Tesla envisioned a world without power lines, where energy flowed freely through the air. He began construction on what would be his masterpiece. At this moment, Tesla stood at the absolute pinnacle of his career, celebrated, funded, and on the verge of changing human civilization forever. Everything collapsed when Guglielmo Marconi successfully transmitted a radio signal across the Atlantic in 1901. Morgan realized Tesla's tower could transmit information, which meant it competed with the telegraph and telephone systems Morgan had invested in. Worse, when Tesla asked for more funding and admitted his true goal was free wireless power, Morgan saw no way to profit. If anyone can draw on the power, where do we put the meter? Morgan withdrew funding in 1903, and no other investor would touch the project. Wardenclyffe Tower, Tesla's cathedral to the future, stood incomplete. Tesla's tragedy was being too visionary for his era. He proposed ideas that seemed like fantasy: wireless global communication, renewable energy, particle beam weapons, and technologies that wouldn't exist for another century. Investors wanted products they could sell immediately, not dreams of a distant future. Tesla's refusal to compromise his vision for commercial viability alienated the financial backers he desperately needed. He was a pure scientist in an age that demanded entrepreneurs. By 1905, Tesla was drowning in debt. He had invested his own fortune into Wardenclyffe, and it wasn't enough. In 1915, in a devastating blow, he was forced to sell his patents and equipment to pay his debts. The partial demolition of Wardenclyffe Tower in 1917 symbolized the destruction of his dreams. Meanwhile, the royalties from his AC patents, which should have made him one of the richest men in America, had been forfeited years earlier. In 1897, facing bankruptcy, Westinghouse had convinced Tesla to tear up his royalty contract for the good of the company. Tesla, ever the idealist, agreed. It was a decision that would haunt him. As Tesla aged, he became increasingly eccentric and isolated. He developed obsessive-compulsive behaviors, an extreme phobia of germs, and a fixation on the number 3. He moved from hotel to hotel in New York, leaving unpaid bills in his wake. His only companions were the pigeons he fed in Bryant Park. He fell in love with one particular white pigeon, later saying, "I loved that pigeon as a man loves a woman." Former colleagues avoided him. The press, which once celebrated him, now mocked him as a mad scientist. He gave interviews claiming he had invented a death ray and could communicate with Mars, further damaging his credibility. On January 7, 1943, at age 86, Nikola Tesla died alone in his room at the New Yorker Hotel. He had been living there for a decade, and the hotel management tolerated his unpaid bills out of respect for his past fame. A maid found his body 2 days later. He died with debts of $7,311, about $130,000 today. There was no funeral procession, no public mourning for the man who had given the world wireless communication, remote control, and the electrical grid that powered modern civilization. Within hours of his death, the FBI arrived at his hotel room and seized all of Tesla's papers, notes, and research, 2 truckloads of documents. The official reason was national security. Tesla had claimed to possess designs for powerful weapons. His nephew, Sava Kasanovic, fought for months to recover the materials. Eventually, most were returned, but rumors persisted that the most sensitive documents were never released. To this day, some remain classified. In the decades following his death, Tesla virtually disappeared from the history books. When electricity was discussed, Thomas Edison received the credit. When radio was mentioned, Guglielmo Marconi was named the inventor, even though the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in 1943, shortly after Tesla's death, that Tesla's patents had priority over Marconi's. But Marconi had already received the Nobel Prize in 1909, a prize many believed should have gone to Tesla. Generation after generation learned about Edison's light bulb and Marconi's radio, while Tesla's name faded into obscurity. From 1943 to the 1990s, Tesla existed only in the footnotes of history textbooks and in the memories of a small group of devoted engineers and scientists who understood his contributions. His Wardenclyffe laboratory site became overgrown with weeds, then a dumping ground. The man who had dreamed of lighting the world for free was forgotten by the world he had illuminated. In the 1990s, a Tesla renaissance began. Engineers and historians started re-examining his work, realizing that technologies everyone used daily, radio, remote controls, fluorescent lights, wireless communication, all traced back to Tesla's patents and demonstrations. Biographies were published. Documentaries were made. The Internet age, with its emphasis on wireless transmission of information, made Tesla's vision suddenly seem prophetic rather than insane. He had imagined a world system of wireless communication in 1900. We call it the Internet. In 2003, two engineers named their electric car startup, Tesla Motors, in honor of the inventor of the AC induction motor that would power their vehicles. When Elon Musk joined as chairman and later CEO, he transformed Tesla into the world's most valuable automotive company. Suddenly, Tesla's name was everywhere, on cars, on stock tickers, in the news daily. A new generation learned about Nikola Tesla not from textbooks, but from the technology changing their world. In 2013, Elon Musk even purchased the Wardenclyffe site to preserve it as a museum. Today, Tesla is finally receiving his due recognition. He appears on Serbian currency. Airports and streets bear his name. The international unit of magnetic flux density is called the Tesla. His face has become synonymous with innovation and futurism. Museums dedicated to his work exist on multiple continents. Scientists acknowledge what should have been obvious all along. Tesla invented or pioneered alternating current systems, the AC motor, radio transmission, remote control, fluorescent lighting, the Tesla coil, wireless power transmission concepts, and laid groundwork for technologies from radar to X-rays. Tesla's inventions changed everything about how we live. Every time you turn on a light, charge your phone wirelessly, use a remote control, or send a radio signal, you're using Tesla's innovations. The entire electrical infrastructure of modern civilization runs on his AC system. Yet he died in poverty, alone, forgotten. His tragedy wasn't just personal. It was civilization's failure to value pure innovation over immediate profit, to honor genius over showmanship, to remember the quiet inventor over the loud promoter. Nikola Tesla's story is a haunting reminder that sometimes the world needs time to catch up to genius. He was born too early for his own ideas. He dreamed of a wireless world in 1900, but died before seeing even a television become common. He envisioned renewable energy and global communication decades before the technology existed to make them practical. His tragedy teaches us to look more carefully at the visionaries we dismiss, to value the inventors we ignore, to remember that today's impractical dreamer may be tomorrow's prophet. Tesla died broke, but he died right. History has rendered its verdict. Nikola Tesla wasn't just a genius. He was the genius who invented our world, and we forgot him for 80 years. We won't make that mistake again.